Show, the only way we're gonna defeat this monster is if we mega smash him together. Whoa, hold on guys. I don't think you guys are quite my type. Hey Rangers, welcome to Super Important Reviews. My name's Steve, and today I'll be going over the Figma number 333 Guyver 3 from the anime Guyver, the Bioboosted Armor. This is the character of Agito Makishima, who is the person inside of the suit for Guyver 3. Easily probably the most badass person in the entire anime, especially in the appearance, because this is easily the coolest looking Guyver next to the gigantic Guyver, my personal opinion. I still like the first Guyver, mainly just because it's the original and I think he's really cool. But this guy's just always been the one that, like, I've wanted for so long. I've even almost dished out the extra money to get the old Max Factory version of the Guyver 3. But, kind of gave up on that since I saw this guy go for pre-order. So, if I come across one, I'll grab it. But, since I got this bad boy here, and I'm hoping that he's going to be as good as the other Guyvers, because I've really enjoyed those figures. So, I'm hoping he's going to keep up the trend with these awesome little Figma. So, anyways, without further ado, for his packaging, pretty standard for most Figma packages. We have the black on the bottom, you got the Guyver logo here on the side. You can see a little bit of some of the suit here on the top section here, and the color scheme is done in the more Guyver 3 coloring. On this side, looks like he's kind of downward punching somebody. Opposite side, looking like a badass. On the back, more stuff. He's, well, I guess he was actually slashing somebody. Him in a bunch of dynamic poses, and some stuff I can't understand, and some legal mumbo jumbo with him doing some more smashers on the bottom. So let's get him opened up out of his cardboard prison. Alright, so now that we have Guyver 3 opened up out of his cardboard prison, first we're going to go over his accessories, starting with his Guyver unit, which is the same thing that we got with Unit 1, with the same tealish green on the outside for the armor plating. I like the little intertwining organic look of the inside with its very dark gray coloring. You got the control metal on the front and this nice metallic silver. And overall, it's a pretty solid looking piece. This would be the top section here, because you can see it has the same detailing as the control metal on the front of Agito's helmet. And it's just a really cool piece. Glad it's incorporated with this one, which it wasn't really necessary for Guyver 2 to have it anyways. Mostly the same for 3, but it is cool that it is incorporated with it anyways, because more accessories, the better. Then he comes with 4 vibration blades, a pair in varying sizes, which they are very thin, so be very careful with these, because these will break pretty easily. So if you are going to have the extended ones out, I recommend using the stand, which it also comes with a stand conveniently, which is this pegs right into Guyver 3's back. So right here, you'll notice there's a peg hole on the small of his back. This front section can actually come off, and usually I don't have this on there anyways, because I like to have the rod going straight into there. But this one's just for giving it some added posability, but for the most part, I don't use this one very often. Mainly when I use that piece is for female figures with some long hair, because it helps to get underneath it, but it's not really quite necessary for this figure. So you just take the stand, you want to go straight into his back. Be careful though, just take it nice and slow, because I've had one problem where one of my Madoka figures, when I was putting it in, it slipped and one of the joints snapped. Thankfully I have extras, so it wasn't as big of a deal, but I gotta remember that one actually being damaged. But that feels like that's about as far in as that's gonna go, which seems really odd, because that isn't that far in. Yeah, it doesn't really go in that far. There's not that much depth there in that hole. So that's about as far as it's gonna go in. So there you go, if you guys were wondering about your own Guyver figures. It's still gonna hold them in there pretty good, so I'm not too worried about it, but articulating it is a bit more of a pain to do, since it's going to be sticking out a bit. It's going to flex. So I would try to get your stand set up and then position Guyver onto here, instead of what I like to do with some of them is pose them while they're on the stand. This one doesn't seem like it's going to be the case with it though. But again, it's going to hold on to him pretty well, which for the vibration blades, how you get them onto his forearm is these all can come out, which for the smaller vibration blades look actually pretty good. Mostly just plain black for the blades. Got a nice little edge to them though. Very pointy. What was cool though is he had 2 of them, which made him super fancy, because all the other Guyvers had 1. Well, Mr. Awesome over here has definitely double the vibrations for double the pain. No, I'm just going to take these out. So all 4 of these can remove. For the extended ones, which the large one's going to go on the back here. They are interchangeable between each of the sides, so you don't have to worry about lining them up for each of them. You need to grab the actual longer one, Steve, not the small one again. Which makes it really convenient, because now you're not trying to fidget which one of these blades goes with which arm. Because, as you can see, I have not been paying attention. And they are sliding in there pretty easily. One thing I know is on this side, it's a little bit loose no matter which blade I put in. And then it's also the same for the smaller ones too, so they like to fall out pretty easily. At least for that one. The rest of them stay in there pretty securely. But here we have Guyver 3 with his extended frequency blades, which looks really awesome. Very terrifying looking, while also being terrifying on your shelf in case he knocks over, because these are not going to survive that fall. So again, make sure to have them on the stand, but is a really solid look for this Guyver. That would probably be the way I have him posed, because I have Guyver 1 set up with the Smasher, I have Guyver 2 set up with only one blade, and this one I just might go full-blown blade attack. Maybe, or I might do the Smasher. I'm not sure. Or possibly having him set up with cross arms, which is pretty sweet. I haven't actually had one that did this since my Gundam effect sets. They had the cross arms for the G Gundam ones, and also Vegito from the SX Figure Arts line, which these little plastic pegs just slide out. A little tough. Ooh, also that shifts a little bit. Oh, actually, it just comes apart. All right, neato. I figured it was glued together. I was wrong. But how you get this onto them, and I'm going to take off these blades. Actually, I would just recommend taking off the blades in general if you're going to be swapping off the arms. So when you're going to be pulling on the joint, you also be pulling on the spikes. So again, when you're swapping them out, just take them off. But as you can see, it's going to be right into his shoulders. So you're going to want to pop these off, which I haven't actually done yet. Is just on a peg joint, so you're just going to want to pull this straight off, and hopefully it doesn't come out from the shoulder. Which it didn't. Cool. So you want to straighten them up and just pull outwards from the body. It's actually really easy to do. That's really nice, because I'll show you guys a problem I have, and my only real major problem I've had so far with this. But I'm actually going to, since I got the option, take these guys apart. But if you want to keep it together, all you're going to want to do is adjust the peg here, which is easier said than done, because that doesn't want to rotate without the arm actually on. There we go. You're going to want to get these mainly sticking outwards, and then just adjust the arms into them. Also, I just noticed we actually need one of his chest pieces, because his chest actually can swap out, which you just pull it away from the body. It's actually a little bit pliable, the one that's on him. You get this one, which we'll go over in a second, but you're going to need the smaller chest area if you're going to be wanting to use the cross arms, which just go straight into the body. And then there's also 2 little pegs right here as well. So when inserting that in, just make sure everything lines up nicely. And now, wherever I set those guys, there we go. Now we can stick the forearms on without having any of his chest piece in the way. 1 and maybe 2. There we go. Got 2. Come back to you. Okay, I think I got it. Think we're good. That looks good, right? Look good? Looks good? Looks good to me. Now I got to put his body back together. He's a little bit on the loose side for a lot of these pegs, which is kind of nice for articulating. But in swapping out parts, I do appreciate them being a little bit looser. And I kind of like that look. I'm not going to lie. The cross-arm look actually looks pretty sweet with them. Especially if you have them kind of like upright, maybe even like hovering a bit or something. Looks freaking awesome. Can you swap out the blades? See, I did. Blades are fixated in there. I was kind of hoping maybe I could swap out one of those and maybe a little thicker, but these guys are definitely permanent. So, do actually like the look though. I might actually go with this because I don't really have anybody cross-armed other than my Burning Gundam. So yeah, definitely liking this little accessory. The more I sit here and look at it, freaking awesome. glad they incorporated this, because they could have just easily just made us actually pose the arms in order to do this. So I definitely appreciate this accessory. Super awesome. Then for his next chest, we're just going to swap out the smaller chest for his Mega Smasher chest, which you just slot this in. Again, 2 little slots go right in here. 2 little pegs go onto the side tubes. Just want to line it up. Be a little careful though, because these do articulate, so it's going to be a little bit more of a pain to get these ones in than the other two. This one actually seems like it's a little bit tighter. Then I'm just going in horribly wrong. Looks like I'm going wrong. So I'm going to articulate these outwards in order to try to line that up better. Jeez! Comparing almost everything else to this guy, that is a tight fit. Alright, both of them are on the side. Alright, now we got him with this Mega Smasher, which these are articulated. So these can move inwards and outwards. And it looks good. Details on the inside are solid. Got a little bit of a neon yellow on the inside. But the tint kind of makes it look a little bit more green. With some more detail for here for the undersection of the suit, the more organic part of the armor. I like them having the articulated joints. Like Guyver 2 wasn't bad because it was all stationary, so you had to swap it out every time you wanted to open this up. Well, I personally prefer these ones because it gives you a little more variety, especially when posing it. You can have like one shut, one close, and then kind of fidget it to fit inside of his hand if you wanted. Well, the other one, you only really had one option. But the only thing with this chest in particular is it definitely increases his chest size to at least a C or a large B. Like, that is a huge chest. Like, I guess if you want Guyver 3 to be a female, definitely go with this chest. Definitely. But anyways, for the most part, unless you're going to be having this open, I would say go with one of the other chests. Possibly even the slightly slimmer one, because it gives you a little bit more wiggle room in terms of posability, so that's the one I would probably use the most. And I kind of wish maybe the yellow was a little bit brighter on the inside, because right now it looks a little bit dull with the translucent plastic over top of it. Not 100% certain how you actually would improve on that, because on the box it looks super bright, while here, not so much. But still looks really good, like detailing wise. Like, I kind of wish the same thing for the eyes too. They maybe would have used a little bit of a brighter color, but I do like the translucent plastic though for it. But we're not done with the accessories. So next for his hands, bit of a problem with mine anyways, and I'm actually probably going to swap out the chest here before I fully show you guys. But on this hand in particular, it comes off real easy. So it's going to be a little bit of a pain in the butt to remove the hand actually from the joint. He does come with one extra joint just in case if something bad happens, like I just dropped it somewhere. Because I think this one's going to pretty much give me the same problem. Yeah. So, how you get the hand off the joint anyways, the way I do it, you have to use a little bit of nail. We just kind of grab towards the joint and then pull it off. Really hard to do. Also, you can use a little pliers to hold this to give you some leverage. But generally, just wiggle a little bit. Should pop off for you, though. So for Guyver Unit 3, first and foremost, he comes with a pair of clenched fists. Some grabbing hands if you want to pose with any accessories that he didn't come with, because with anything out of the packaging, he has no real use for these. A pair of more relaxed hands for gripping around certain items, but mainly just for extra martial arts poses, stuff like that. A pair of stretched out hands, which are going to be primarily for moves like his gravity cannon, or even if you want to have him doing the Kamehameha. And then finally a pair of clenched hands, which are going to be used for his Mega Smasher move. Then for closer guys details, the head sculpt is done very well. I love the giant spike, which it has these little extra platings for the top section. It looks very menacing, with 3 more spikes protruding out of each side of the top part of the head. Got the control metal on the front here with his very ember colored eyes. Kind of wish they were a little bit brighter, but still looks very menacing for the armor. And actually matches the membranes on the intersection of the helmet very well. And then you have the control metal on the front of the head with the extra little sensors on the sides here. And then the little center dome here for his forehead beam. Got some more little spikes protruding out from his chin and his breathing tubes. Got a little bit of a strap coming down from the section of Got a little strap from the undersection of his chin. Got a little strap from the undersection of his chin going down into his chest. When articulating it, just to be a little bit careful with those, because it does shift a little bit when you're articulating the head downward. But for the most part, when you want to move it around, just don't go too crazy. So as you can see, they start shifting a bit. But he has some added plating going around his neck region there. For his chest, very, very muscular. Like, definitely got that little six-pack there going on with another spike protruding off from the front section of his breastplate. Looks very menacing, almost like Shin Godzilla-ish. Because he also has like that little bone that's kind of protrudes out from the front of his chest. So, kind of ties in a little bit. Giant shoulder armors, which these guys are just kind of hooked in on a little hinge here, so they just move around a little bit here and there. With some more dark red coloring for his little center membranes. You got his gravity control right there on his little belt region there. For the arms, nothing too much different than the other Guyvers, just some armor plating with two of his vibration blades there on his bottom of his forearm. All the hands are very nicely detailed with some more of that skin membrane on the undersection of the palm with some armor plating over the top of the back of the hands. And then moving down the legs, mostly the same as what we got with the other two Guyvers, with some armor plating, some extra little padding for the knee pads. The calves are also protruding out from the armor, and some ninja shoes. And then just show you guys the back real quick with some armor plating there as well. And another thing I want to point out too, I'll show you guys in the comparisons, but he is a bigger figure than what we got with the first Guyver, mainly because it's just Agita was just a larger character in general, because he's definitely built, and you can definitely see it on this guy. But for his articulation, head can look up about that far, down about that far, to the left, to the right. Another thing, at least on mine, this actually will pop out. Two of my Guyver figures actually do that, and it's not really glued in. It just stays there pretty snug though. For his arms, can go up about that far, down about that far. Rotates all the way around. Has a rotation at the upper part of the bicep, rotation at the elbow. Decent bend at the elbow, though I wish it was more double jointed. Because you can see there is an extra joint there on the inside of the forearm. But you still don't get that crazy of a bend with it though. And the hands can rotate and then can wiggle back and forth. For his chest and waist, you can go back about that far, forward about that far, lean side to side, rotation at each of the points, but the waist doesn't really rotate that much. But the chest area gives you a decent amount. For his legs, can go out about that far, inwards about that far, decent forward kick, back kick, a little bit of rotation. This part on my figure is a little loose though, but what's kind of nice is the armor plating here is actually soft, so it definitely gives you a little bit more posability there, while most of the rest of this is fairly hard plastic. For his knees, can bend in about that far, straighten about that far, no real rotation. And for his feet, can rotate side to side, a little bit of a wiggle to it. And the toes can articulate up and down. And for some quick comparisons here, we have the Figma Guyver 3 compared next to some other Guyver Bioboosted Armor figures. We have Guyver 2 from the movie and Guyver 1. And as you can see here, definitely the tallest out of the three, with Guyver 2 being the second tallest and Sho being the tiny little dude that he is. And here's some other Figma figures with Midoriya from My Hero Academia and Kuroneko from Orimo. And here's next to some SH Figure Arts figures with Sailor V from Sailor Moon and the Kamen Rider Black RX. And here's next to the Sentinel Ryobot Shiryu and the Mega House Dragon Ball Gals Android 18 version 2. And finally, here he is next to the Bandai Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Legacy Collection White Ranger and Yellow Ranger. So overall, the Figma Guyver 3, this figure is pretty decent in the end. Definitely not the best Figma that I've ever had, mainly because with the loose joints on this guy, it definitely feels a little bit more like a stateside figure, with the hands definitely being the most frustrating part about the figure. And I kind of wish the articulation maybe could be a little bit better, like some double joints in the elbows would have been fantastic for this guy. But outside of that, I love the details on this guy. I think the amount of accessories he came with is very nice for this figure, and definitely see the value here. So if you guys are a big fan of the Guyver anime and don't have a Guyver 3 already in your collection, then the Figma will definitely fill that spot nicely. But I say as just figures though, Guyver 1 and 2 is definitely my preferred figure over this one, just because those hands. God, those hands are frustrating. But I'm still happy that I picked up this guy. He looks great with the other Guyver figures. And again, if you guys are a big fan of Guyver, definitely worth a purchase. But what do you guys think? If you guys picked up the Figma Guyver 3, what's your favorite ultraviolet anime? Or is Kamen Rider just more your thing? Please let us know in the comments. Look closer at pictures of the guy on our website. You want to click the link description below. We also have exclusive prints on our Patreon account if you guys like to help support the channel, also in the description. And help us defeat those kaijus by hitting that like button, subscribe, become a ranger today, and see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.